Folks at home, it is the soccer show for an hour. It's the Dockerty Cup special, one each of two. Of course, we'll be coming live with the, well, not live, but we're coming in with the Dockerty Cup final next weekend. That was some of the action from midweek, and we're about to head out now to the BT Connor Reserve in Reservoir for all the action of what promised to be a fairly exciting quarter-final tie between the Preston Lions and South Melbourne, Paul. And I think the critical element of this point of the Dockerty Cup competition when the National League sides come in, because it gives you a real chance, it gives you a gauge as to how the National League clubs are going to perform during the summer season to come.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky for both sides because obviously Preston are right at the end of a long, hard season. In fact, they probably haven't had a game for 3 or 4 weeks, and yet South Melbourne have only been training for 3 weeks prior to this. So ones should be really fully fit and ones are just trying to get some fitness. I'm sure Frank at South Melbourne's just trying to work out what his squad would be. He hasn't been able to buy players, obviously, because of the freeze on transfers. So he'll have a fairly young side out today, I'd say, trying out some of his youth team players from last year. So it should be quite interesting to see what sort of side they can put out. Well,
there is a long and bitter rivalry between Preston and South Melbourne going to this game, so you can forget the fact that Preston finished a lowly, I think, 4th from bottom in the Premier League when they host South Melbourne in this tie. And the key to this here for South Melbourne supporters, lots of new young faces in the Blues team for this one. Tamsel Baser, Billy Damianos, Con Anthopoulos, Con Blatzis, these sort of young fellows who are going to be the future of South Melbourne and Frank Arrock, and I say that most sincerely, Paul, the kids to look out for in this game. So let's head out where the great man, the voice of authority, Paul Williams, was on deck at the BT Connor for this quarter-final tie in the Dockerty Cup between Preston and South Melbourne.
Here we are at Connor Reserve. Preston about to kick off in the Dockerty Cup clash between the Lions and South Melbourne. Let's take a quick look at the two lineups. Preston looks to have a fairly full-strength side on the field with Chalmers, Pender, Stojcevski, Spasevski all playing in defence, and Romanovsky, Ilievsky, Kuchelevsky, Chiodo, Lakovsky and Sasha Besanovsky also in the lineup. They're looking pretty much full strength despite the fact they've just got back from Tasmania and the end of season trip, and some of the boys are feeling a little bit under the weather apparently. And South Melbourne, a quick look at their lineup. Anastasiadis back from Port Melbourne in goal. A couple of youngsters on show. Con Blatzis in defence, the number 2. Damianos in midfield with Panopoulos. Con Anthopoulos is there as well. Alex Kuzmanovic and the old favourites Trimboli, Peterson and Vaughan Coveney, a new signing, number 10, also in the lineup. Anastasiadis, long kick with the wind in this first half, playing from right to left. Going through to Tamsel Baser, takes the throw. He's another one of the young players who were in South Melbourne's youth team last year. Chance to stake a claim for their own spot in an NSL side. Such has been the clean-out that Frank Arrock has taken on here at South Melbourne.
Part last year and getting them into the finals very much included there Dean Coveney, who it's the first time I've seen Dean Coveney here in Melbourne, and he's a big tall striker there. But you're looking at Mickey Peterson, Alex Kuzmanovic being the up the middle, the Kuzmanovic at the back and Peterson in the middle, and then of course Paul Trimboli up front. So I'm really interested to see how they perform today, Paul.
Yeah, I've heard well, I remember Vaughan Coveney, of course, from the Melbourne Knights 2 or 3 seasons ago. He was an outstanding player, but then shortly after he joined the club, new players joined the club as well as a new coach, and he couldn't find a place in the side. He went to Wollongong, had a season and a half at Wollongong, was the first player in about 50 years to score more than 10 goals in the National League for Wollongong last year. He bagged about 12 or 13, I think, and now he's joined South Melbourne, so he's a good recruit. The ball comes across, and the opening goal, in fact, is for South Melbourne.
Well, Paul, that came right out the blue. I mean, it's just totally unexpected. Mickey Peterson's chipped it in, and we think it's just the person you're talking about, Vaughan Coveney, got on the end of it.
Yeah. Deep ball from Pender. Blatzis. Oh, given away. Pressure here from Preston. Can they make the most of it? Kuchelevsky. Good shot! Not a bad effort at all from Nick Kuchelevsky. It just fired past Anastasiadis' left-hand post there.
Yeah, just at the moment, Paul, I think corners for South Melbourne you can put down as a definite chance because of the height that they've got in defence. And here we go, Von Coveney.
Keep it a beat. Good save from Rajkowski. Peterson's in there. South Melbourne, a class above Preston so far today, with just one goal to show for it though. And Kuchelewski's free on the left-hand side, faced by Damian Oss. Kuchelewski goes on the left foot. Great run. Still Kuchelewski. Side netting. South Melbourne forward now. Panopoulos in the centre of the park. Given away by some fine positioning from Adrian Pender, and Preston are onside. It's a good ball from Pender. Lukovsky down the right. South Melbourne backpedaling. Good cross in. Besanowski! Fine save there by Anastasiadis. And South Melbourne trying to clear now with Peterson. But again, Preston have opened up South Melbourne. And with an ounce of luck there, Frank McGrellis, that would have been an equaliser.
Yeah, well, two opportunities there within the space of 30 seconds for Preston, Paul, and I think Sash Bezanovsky should have done better. And although Dean Anastasiadis got his hands on it, I think Sash would feel that he should have done a bit better with that opportunity.
Trimboli on the far post, across the goal, and a goal from Paul Trimboli.
Yeah, and there it is, Paul. Suddenly, from having two chances to get back to 1-1, South Melbourne break down the right, ball to the far post. Paul Trimboli hangs well wide and heads it back in. Possibly, I'm not sure if Paul's going to head it back across goal, but it's ended up in the back of the net.
Free kick, Preston. Pender forward, looking for Latkovsky. Cut out by Blatzis, who hammers it back down the line to Pender. Another chance for him. He'll go long. Far post ball. Good ball it was too. In space here. Shot tried by the number 8, Ilievski. Fine ball from Adrian Pender.
Half-time at the BT Connor Reserve, and it's Preston 0, South Melbourne 2. A little bit of confusion over that first goal, but in fact it was an own goal. The ball went in the net off a Preston defender. Paul Trimboli with South Melbourne's second goal, a nice looping header over the Preston goalkeeper Tom Rajkowski. 2-0 at half-time. Really a bit of a cakewalk for South Melbourne at this stage. They're looking well on top, but Nick Kuchelewski from Preston was the outstanding player in the red and black side, and he caused South Melbourne a couple of problems. Might even have had a goal for himself as well with an ounce of luck. So 2-0 the score, South Melbourne well on top, Greg. And some young players starting to play well. Yeah,
and good form in this competition is important, bearing in mind that, of course, last year the Melbourne Knights won the Dockerty Cup in the pre-season, went on to take it all in the National League, so good signs for South Melbourne and good signs for the soccer show, good people involved in the soccer show, Paul, apart from you and I, of course. I'm going to credit the sponsors because, by heck, I think they deserve it. Detail Excavations, you want holes, Paul, they'll give them to you. Telly Italia, all the action on the Italian First Division, one of the keys to their coverage of sport. Telly Italia, magnificent. Bayswater Indoor Soccer Centre and Clothing Shop. You wouldn't go past it, would you really? And, of course, Aqua Minerale, Certosa, Italy's best. Now in Australia, of course, Dump Master, Paul Williams. And haven't I had a need for a dump master every now and then? For all your rubbish removal requirements, and of course the great man's Evo's Pizzas, magnificent. We'll be scoffing a few of those. Presumably, Paul, together we'll break bread, or we'll break pizza together after the program. Get on with it, son. Go.
Sounds good. OK, we'll take a quick sponsors break and be back with the second half of Preston against South Melbourne.